In this video, I'm going to go through the number one predictor to tell if you're going to lead a successful life. And it'll be interesting to know in the comments, do you have this personality trait? Because if you do, you're already at a huge advantage. So according to Dr. Jordan Peterson, IQ is the best predictor of whether or not you're going to be successful in the future. Now, that's all well and good knowing that a high IQ will increase your chances of success, but IQ isn't very malleable. There are not that many things you can do to significantly alter your IQ. It's likely that if you were born with a high IQ, you'll have a high IQ for the rest of your life, and if you were born with a low IQ, you'll likely have a low IQ for the rest of your life. Now, there are things you can do to preserve your IQ and stop it from decreasing as you age, because that's what happens. As we age, our IQ slowly declines, and physical exercise has been shown to be the only effective solution for preserving IQ, so both aerobic exercise and weightlifting. And that's why I promote and encourage the idea of regular exercise on this channel so much, because it really does benefit you in so many ways. So IQ is relatively non-malleable, so let's move on to the second best predictor of long-term success, because I think that's more important, because this is where it gets interesting. It's something that you can improve on and work on to get better at. According to Dr. Jordan Peterson, conscientiousness is the second best predictor of long-term life success. But what exactly is conscientiousness? It's the quality of wishing to do one's work or duty well and thoroughly. So if it's about your studying, that assignment that you're writing, are you quickly rushing through it and doing the bare minimum to get a pass? Or are you taking your time and meticulously going through the marking criteria and proofreading it again to make sure that you can get the best grade you can possibly get? And it applies to everyone. Whatever they're doing in their life, for example, a road sweeper cleaning the streets, are they just doing that job and watching the clock until 5 PM because they can't wait to go home? Or are they taking pride in their work and taking pride in helping the community and 100% committed to becoming the best road sweeper in the city? Now, it doesn't mean that if you are conscientious, then you will automatically become successful, because of course that's not how it works. But it means that you are more likely to become successful compared with someone who is not conscientious, assuming that all of the factors and personality traits are equal. So I want to go into conscientiousness a bit further and explain in a bit more detail what it means, so you can kind of determine whether you have or whether you don't have this trait. And if you don't, then I'll go through a few things that maybe you could improve or work on in order to improve your chances of success, not only in your education but in the future with your career too. As Jordan Peterson explains, the best way to sum up a conscientious person is that they are very good at keeping contract with themselves and others. So what a conscientious person will do, first of all, they'll say that they'll do something, but then they'll actually go ahead and do it. So for example, if you borrow, I don't know, $5 from your friend for lunch because you forgot your lunch money that day, and you tell him or her that you'll pay them back the next day, then a conscientious person will make damn sure that they'll pay that money back the next day. They don't need to be reminded. They don't keep forgetting. They don't keep delaying it for days. They pay it back immediately the next day. And I'm sure we all know people that we have lent money to and it's very difficult to get that money back. Well, those people are showing signs of low conscientiousness. Okay, so how do you become conscientious? So Jordan Peterson explains that you can work on your micro habits, and this can directly and significantly boost how conscientious you are. He says that the best thing you can do is to develop a vision of what you would like to be in the future in your life, and where you would like to be in the next 1 year, 3 years, 10 years. And with this vision in mind, you set up your aims for yourself. You set up goals for yourself that you actually value. Goals that, if you achieve them, you will make this vision of where you want to be in the future a reality. And then you need to break down these goals into micro processes, things that you can implement into your daily life, things that you can physically do. So for example, one of my main goals at university was to graduate with a 4.0 GPA. So one of the micro processes I implemented, or micro goals that I implemented, was to study for at least 8 hours every day. And every day that I hit this goal, it was rewarding in itself, because I knew that I was one step closer to achieving that 4.0 GPA. And so you want to get to a position where you think, if I do this one thing every day, then I can achieve this. So if you do one thing, if you do this one action, then eventually this will happen. So it gives you incentive and motivation to do that one thing. And this one thing, it might be studying for 8 hours a day like it was for me, or it might be going to the gym every day, for example. Because as Jordan Peterson puts it, the question is always, why do something? Why bother studying? Why bother going to the gym? Why bother waking up and going to class? Because procrastination is easy. You just sit there and play on your phone or your laptop or whatever, and you don't want to do that because you've determined that it is worthwhile to study. So then the next question is, why is it worthwhile to study? How do you know that it's worth it to study? So the answer to that is that you look around you and you look at other people's lives, maybe famous people, the all-time greats maybe, and you look at your parents or your family, or it's something that you eventually aspire to have also. So they might have things that you want in your life. For example, you need a family, you need friends, you need a career, you need educational goals, you need free time outside of work, you need to pursue hobbies, you need to spend time on your mental and physical health. And that's what life is about. And if you don't have any of those things, then all you have left is misery and suffering, and that's something we want to avoid, right? So once you set up that goal structure, and that's what you should be doing at university, you should be asking yourself, who is it that you want to be? And when you aim at that, and then you use everything that you learn to build that person that you want to be. Okay, so first we have the vision, where we want to be in 1 year's time, or 3 years' time, or 5 years' time, whatever time frame you choose. Then using that vision, you make up 1 or 2 main goals, where if you reach those goals, you'll make that vision a reality. And the next step is to break down those 1 or 2 goals into small daily micro habits. And if you go through this 3-step system, your chances of becoming successful or achieving that vision that you have for yourself become exponentially higher. And like the 4th century philosopher Lao Tzu once wrote, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with 1 step. By increasing your conscientiousness, you create a system where you are more intentional with your actions and more respectful of your time. You realize you only have 24 hours in the day, and you respect this. And it's something that it took me years to truly understand, and I absolutely believe that conscientiousness is malleable. We can increase our levels of conscientiousness, and I know that because 7 or 8 years ago, I was one of the least conscientious people you'd ever met. But since then, I've managed to completely turn that around. And if you're looking to do the same, I recently uploaded a video on how I made university almost completely stress-free, which you can watch by clicking on the video on the screen. And it's important because I realize now that what I was doing, what I did to make university stress-free, I was setting daily goals, yearly goals. I had a study schedule. I had daily productivity routines. All of these things that I did directly boosted my conscientiousness. And I think you're going to get huge value from that video. So I'll see you over there.